Good evening and welcome to the Orange County School Board's regularly scheduled meeting this Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. Thank you all so much for joining us. Wow, we haven't seen this chamber this full in quite a while, and it feels awfully good to see you all here. I want to thank you all for, I see everybody has their mask on. Thank you so much. We are still under our mask mandate indoors, so we appreciate you observing and honoring that requirement. I also want to remind the public that school board members will not be engaging in outside electronics during the meeting. During this time, we set aside our full attention, or devote our full attention to the matters before us. And the matters before us are celebrating some of you that are in the audience, which we're very excited to get to very soon. Also, want to remind my fellow board members to not do what I just did and turn your head sideways, but rather talk as much as you can directly into the mic, because it doesn't pick up very well sideways. And if you have an opportunity or a reason that you need to speak to us today, please speak directly into the mic as close as you can so that we're able to hear you. And with that, enough introductions. If you all would like, I'd invite you to join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And now for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you again for joining us for tonight's school board meeting. I hope you all had an opportunity to enjoy and celebrate President's Day yesterday. And before we discuss tonight's business, I want to first take this time to recognize Meadwoods Middle School for receiving the Leader in Me Lighthouse certification from Franklin Covey Education. And to tell us a little bit more about this honor, let me call on Member Cobert. Member Cobert.
Thank you, Chair Jacobs. So I am so excited to join in celebration of this accomplishment with Meadwoods Middle School and our entire Meadwoods family. Since 2015, the school has been under the leadership of Principal Marisol Mendez. And since that time, the school community has seen tremendous growth and shared in several achievements that support our vision to ensure that every student has a promising and successful future. In August of 2016, Meadwoods Middle School became a Franklin Covey Leader in Me school. So this was created by educators more than 20 years ago. A Leader in Me school adopts the see, do, get mindset to effectuate change in its students, faculty, staff, and the entire school community. Through this program, the school culture is transformed. Behaviors are positively influenced and paradigms are shifted, helping schools address bullying, social emotional learning, attendance, mental health, college and career readiness, and more, all the things that are vital to our students. As a Leader in Me school, members are afforded an opportunity to pursue the Lighthouse certification. And this year, Principal Mendez set her sights on obtaining this designation for the school, and in January, achieved that goal. Now, every 2 years, only 600 schools earn the Lighthouse School certification, and Meadwoods is one of only 5 middle schools named in the state of Florida by Franklin Covey, who served as a beacon of light to the communities and other schools. I can walk into Meadwoods Middle School, and I have, and talk to any student, and they can tell me the 7 principles of leadership. So everyone, please help me commend Principal Mendez, John Wright, Principal Mendez team, the faculty, and the students of Meadwood Middle School on this incredible achievement. I could not be more proud.
Madam Chair Jacobs, Mrs. Cobert, distinguished board members, and Superintendent Jenkins. It is an honor to be part of this school recognition for Meadwoods Middle School. Meadwoods becomes the first school in our district to be recognized as a National Lighthouse School. Innovation does not always have to relate to technology, but innovation does need to connect with vision and leadership. Principal Mendez had a vision to leaderize her campus and to give students a true voice in their educational journeys. It is my pleasure to introduce Principal Marisol Mendez so we can hear more from her about what it means to be a Lighthouse school, along with hear from a few of her young leaders on campus. Principal Mendez.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you, Board. Thank you, Superintendent Jenkins. This has been truly an honor and a dream come true. Dreams do come true, and I think that's the greatest lesson that we have taught our stallions, that when you work for something and you believe in something, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the difficulties like we have been facing, that you can overcome your dreams and make them a reality. In 2016, we started the process, but in 2019, I spoke to our team. I said, there's a great opportunity for us to become a school of innovation. Are you on with me on this journey? They all said yes. We wrote our innovation plan, and we said that in 3 years we were going to be a Lighthouse school. Well, we did it in 2. Hallelujah. Oh. And I'm going to say hallelujah, because at times it was so difficult, and we didn't think we were going to be able to make it, but I have some stellar stallion strong leaders that made it happen, parents that are amazing, that on Saturdays will come and leaderize the school. We had a lot of beautiful things that we had done to the environment, but with the renovation, we lost some of them. So they had to come back and just do a lot of great things. Our mission has been to empower them to lead and succeed, and that's what we continue to see. I'm honored, I'm blessed. This is my 7th year with this amazing school, and I just want you to hear from my leaders. So we want to start with Christian. You want to start first? Yes, Christian is one of our 8th grade students, and she's going to share her experience.
Good evening. My name is Christian Nix. I have attended Meadwoods Middle School since the 6th grade, and I am proud to be a stallion. This Lighthouse School Award is a major accomplishment. It has taught me to lead, speak up, and take action, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. The school has not only taught me to lead the 7 habits, but also to work hard and be a leader. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to become a Lighthouse school. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Avery Juarez, and I'm an 8th grader. At Meadwoods Middle, I've always been given the opportunity to be the best version of myself. They have taught us all the 7 or 8 habits, and those have really helped me in both my academic and personal life. I'm so glad to be able to become a Lighthouse school, and this has taught me that with hard work and dedication, anything can be achieved. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Valerie Hernandez. I'm a 7th grader from Meadwoods Middle School. Even though some students were launch ed last year, including me, we all got the chances and opportunities to be a leader and to help. This year, now that everyone is face-to-face, we have even more opportunities, especially now that we're a Lighthouse school. Us students have been able to leaderize our school and share our voices. Thank you for this opportunity. Have a nice day.
I think they want to come up and take a photo. Is that right, yeah. Dr. Wright?
I wonder why they asked you. Nice. Hey, John, let's do this. No. Here, bring it back here. We can hold it. I can lean forward. We can do this. Like, you got the 2 super tall members of the board. There we go. There we go. And we'll get on the side. Yeah, there we go. Okay, all right. Thank you. All right. That is awesome. And I just want to clarify, that is only 600 schools in the nation, correct? Just in case anybody's missing it. I don't know how many schools, I should know how many schools there are in this country. You're the only middle school? Only middle school. Woo-hoo! That is so awesome. We are so very proud of you, Ms. Principal Mendez, and the job that you've done. Dr. Wright, you can just see he is just glowing over there. Is anybody else seeing this? I mean, we couldn't be more proud of you, more proud of your kids, more proud of your faculty, your whole team. So great things you're doing, and what a change it's going to make in the lives of all your students. Jeez, it's awesome. All right. We have a number of proclamations that we're also celebrating. We're proclaiming February 22nd. That is today as National Digital Learning Day in Orange County Public Schools. We're proclaiming March 2022 as National Social Work Month in Orange County Public Schools, March 2022 as Purchasing Month, and proclaiming March 2022 as Arts in Our Schools Month in Orange County Public Schools, which is always a beautiful time. All right, that was a kind of a joke. I didn't think it was going to go over well. You didn't get it. Arts in public schools is kind of a beautiful time. Clinton, work with me here. Thank you. I see Clinton out there, and he's always encouraging school board members to even try to get involved and show our artistic selves. Not so great we do. But anyway, it's a fun time. It's a great month coming up. And now, Dr. Jenkins, do you have any newly appointed administrators to recognize?
None tonight.
All right, thank you. We do have a strategic plan update, but I am going to give a very special gift to everybody here in the room, and that is the opportunity to leave early if you want. Thank you. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. All right, Dr. Jenkins, I'll call on you to introduce the strategic plan update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's that time of year for your annual update on our career and technical education. I would like to introduce Melanie Stefanowicz, who is our Associate Superintendent for Career and Technical Education, to walk you through that update, and then I'll bring comments at her conclusion.
Good evening, School Board Chair Jacobs, school board members, and Dr. Jenkins. Thank you for having me to give you the strategic plan update for CTE during CTE month. So what a way to celebrate. We have a number of legislative priorities that, in conjunction with the effects of the pandemic, are guiding the work that we're doing in career and technical education. There are three state legislated priorities and one local one. The first priority is the CTE course audit that was required by the Florida Department of Education to review all of our OCPS and OTC career and technical education courses against the statewide and local labor market data to determine if OCPS is meeting return on investment requirements and program quality requirements. Program quality requirements include enrollment rates, completion rates, certification attainment rates, and placement after graduation rates. That statutory requirement is currently in the rulemaking process to determine how the Department of Education will use that data to inform local course offerings. The next item is the Perkins 5 Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment. That is a requirement of our federal grant. The same goals as the CTE course audit around program quality and return on investment, and also includes a focus on equity and access for students to CTE programs. The next legislated requirement is the Labor Market Estimating Committee and the Credentials of Value Committees. Those two, the outcomes of those two committee works will drive the work that we are doing at the local level going forward. Those two committees are working in tandem to develop a framework of quality that includes a wage threshold. The wage threshold is medium to high wage careers and is 200% above poverty level, federal poverty level. It requires us to develop a workforce education continuum that meets the framework of quality requirements, and to develop a credential of value master list based on certifications that industry reports as being truly valuable in terms of meeting the wage threshold and providing quality career opportunities for our local residents. So those priorities are really kind of informing the Orange County Public Schools Reimagine Education Initiative, particularly around the goals of awareness, exploration, and immersion. They really kind of build off those legislated foundations. So Orange Technical College's performance metrics evolve from all of those priorities. They're the same metrics I described a minute ago that we're always being evaluated on our enrollment, our completion rates, our certification attainment rates, and our placement after completion. Those accountability metrics really kind of drive our funding model. We are provided a state appropriation that is separate from the K-12 FEFP allocation, and it's based on a 3-year workload average that is derived from enrollment numbers and instructional hours. In addition to that appropriated amount, there is language in the general appropriations around performance funding for post-secondary technical centers and technical colleges. Those industry certifications that are included in statute are eligible to earn $1,000 per student who passes the industry certification. So it provides us an infusion of funding to support the programs that earned the money. So in other words, when we earn the money, it goes back to the program that earned it. So if we take a look at our post-secondary metrics, I've got some enrollment numbers for you. The pandemic certainly has impacted our enrollment here locally. Parents are having trouble with daycare. They have additional work and home life responsibilities. So you'll see that at the mid-year, we have about 3,400 students enrolled, where last year at this time we had 4,000 students enrolled. What's interesting to note, at the same time, we are offering continuing workforce ed, which is also what we've been calling the skills-based training opportunities, the short, rapid credentialing opportunities to help people get back to work more quickly. So at the same time, if we're looking at numbers around those, at the current year, we've had 1,100 students enroll in that, where at this point last year we had 1,200 students. Now, we're in February. We're going to enroll again in March. And for our shorter term programs like forklift, we'll enroll 1 or 2 more times before the end of the year. So we'll see that number increase as well. As far as completers, that number may look low at 215 students, but it's unusual for us to have mid-year completers. Those are students who would complete a program that lasts more than 1 academic year. Programs like our automotive span 16 months, and so students have to come back a second year to complete. So we expect that number to go up by May when our traditional programs are completing and students are graduating. And then industry certifications were about 50% of where we were last year. That's not unusual. Our students will really be ramping up to test around after spring break. So we expect that number to go up as well. But an interesting thing to support the enrollment process on our campuses, we collect a lot of data from social media, from this chat feature on our website where students may enter their information to ask a question. And then they get referred to our Qualtrics site to enter more of an application. We've been able to download and that create a leads database that we can then use to start calling students more aggressively who may be interested in our programs and have questions. So that's one thing we're doing to work on that. If we look at our secondary metrics, there's some interesting correlations here. You'll see that for our secondary high school CTE programs, we have pretty level enrollment, a little increase, and that's very good at 47,000. But you'll note about a 1,600 student increase in our dual enrollment, in the high school students enrolled in dual enrollment opportunities. So what that's telling me is while we may have seen kind of the adult enrollment waning some, we've seen an uptick in the secondary students' interest in the post-secondary coursework. If you're looking at creating a talent pipeline that's sustainable, you do want to work backwards. So we're looking at this as a positive trend because those students have the opportunity to come back post-graduation and complete our programs on our campuses if they don't do so before they leave, depending on when they start. So that's an interesting correlation there. And then it looks, our secondary certification numbers may look low, but again, we'll start testing in full force after spring break. It usually takes a bit of time for students to learn the competencies that they're being tested on, and so you expect a high volume of testing closer to the end of the school year. It's interesting to note some of the programs that we offer in dual enrollment for our students include the licensed practical nursing enterprise desktop, enterprise networking, cybersecurity, culinary, electrical. We have a pre-apprenticeship program in solar. We have medical assisting, patient care technician, pharmacy technician, programs in construction, automotive repair, diesel, mechatronics, CNC production, HVAC, welding, and there's even more than that. But you don't have all night for me to go through them all, so we'll keep it moving. So the next thing I wanted to share with you is our grant funding. I wanted to talk specifically about the competitive grants that we've won over the past year. We've brought in an additional $1.5 million. That money has funded the solar pre-apprenticeship program I mentioned, a cyber apprenticeship program, expansion of our entrepreneurship program, expansion of opportunities for our NAF students, agri-science, and Project Lead the Way students. In addition to that, that's focused mostly on secondary students, but we've received a fair amount of funding from our Higher Ed Relief Fund in the CARES Act. And I wanted to share with you that we invested that funding in creating short-term, rapid credentialing, skills-based training programs to help people get back to work quickly. We also used that funding to pay the tuition for those programs. Those are not Pell eligible, so we wanted to make sure if we're going to offer them, we offset the cost of them for people. With the remaining money, we have used that to offset students' tuition for our traditional career certificate, our clock hour programs, if you will. So students have been able to attend Orange Technical College throughout the pandemic at no cost to them. There's one more grant I'd like to talk about. It's called the Open Door Grant, and this one is special. We have a great number of students who are learning English or working on their high school credential. We want them to have the opportunity to co-enroll or concurrently enroll in CTE, but it's often cost prohibitive for that population. And so this grant is designed to pay their tuition in the CTE program so that they can attend both and work towards both goals simultaneously. So we're happy to have that opportunity. So when you look at the current priorities, the data, the results of the roundtables that were held in the fall, we started to look for new ways that we could reimagine how we deliver educational opportunities to students in high school and then working back into middle school and elementary. We took a look at this pathways model that says pathways matter, and we realized through our conversations with our business partners that there's that's distance between education and the workforce partners is both figurative and literal. It's vast, and we've learned we don't speak the same language. How I define internship is not necessarily how they define internship, and so we need to come to a common language. Around that, we recognize, we need to develop a model that really truly for high school students and middle school students puts them at the center of everything, so that the work that my team does with advisory councils to develop workplace and industry-led experiential learning opportunities truly has the students' desires and needs at what's driving it. And then that will therefore then drive the scheduling model that we may develop to accommodate the opportunities for students. So through this process, we've developed a number of short-term goals that we believe we can implement rather quickly. Some of those goals revolve around new program development and program expansion opportunities, and these really evolve out of the results of the CTE audit and the comprehensive local needs assessment, in addition to our conversations with industry partners. A few ideas we have to do that. We have been awarded a career dual enrollment expansion grant to add several new DE programs on high school campuses. So we're looking at adding advanced manufacturing, automotive, and licensed practical nursing. In addition to that, we have a need locally for some to think creatively how to start new programs perhaps in firefighting and in wastewater, which is a sustainability program. And so we're working with the county and with the city of Apopka to develop an MOU to cost share their employees to be our teachers. So I would contract with them, I would pay them, they would provide the teacher, and we're working on the agreement around curriculum, supplies, and equipment. The other thing, in terms of working with partners in creative ways, we've partnered with FEAT, which is our electrical apprenticeship, on the solar photovoltaic pre-apprenticeship program. We're also working with UCF and its Unique Abilities program to expand post-secondary access for our OCPS ESE students to attend Orange Technical College upon their graduation when they're 22 years old. And so we have a small pilot going at the West Campus that we're looking to expand to more programs and hopefully move into the other campuses. And then finally, we're working with industry partners and what we're calling a side-by-side true collaboration to develop internships that allow students who may not have had access to a CTE course previously to get some skills-based training. What are the technical skills those students need to get into an advanced manufacturing shop floor, for example? What do we need to get them quickly so that they can go into a paid internship that could hopefully morph into coursework around advanced manufacturing for them? We find that might be a really good way to broaden our reach and programs for students actually quickly and with really qualified teachers from industry. Additionally, we are working with advisory boards that we're developing specifically for our secondary programs. And we're working to create age-appropriate opportunities for students in 4th or 5th grade through 12th grade that focus on application, that would be industry-based and industry-led. So sponsor companies would teach students about the innovative technologies they use in their industry. Employees would act as instructors for the hands-on activities, and that would provide students the opportunity to have valuable conversations with industry partners about how they got interested in that career, what it took to get there, what skills were needed. Do I really need math? Just asking for a friend. So then some long-term goals that we have. We've been grappling with all the options that could comprise a student-centric scheduling model, something that's customizable and really drives at what the student needs. And then how can we transform our curriculum? How can we embed core and CTE courses so that we can open up access to students who may be precluded by their schedule for various reasons to be taking those courses. And then we know we have to educate, we have to do a really good job of educating internal, external stakeholders. That's parents, that's students, it's guidance counselors, it's administrators, it's teachers, of what the career opportunities are now and going forward. And then finally, we're working on a plan with regional partners to expand equitable access, primarily to adult students right now, and adult CTE students, but we believe within this regionalization model, we should be able to incorporate 16, 17, 18-year-olds over time. And that is, how do we cost share employees with a company? How do we teach the courses at their site? And then, how do we have them help us create more skills-based training opportunities to broaden the access to people? So this is, basically the beginnings of the planning process. It's by no means the Reimagining Education Project. Dr. Vasquez would like to hear me say this, is not only CTE, though I think it is. She's shaking her head, it's not. The plans for it are ongoing, and we are certainly open to feedback.
Thank you, Ms. Stefanowicz. A couple of comments, and then we'll certainly answer any questions and hear discussion from the board. I am extremely excited about what will continue as a vision and a mission for CTE to provide options for all of our children. And so Pam knows what Member Gould knows what I'm going to say. Mike Armbruster said it's not steak or lobster, it's steak and lobster. And so this vision that every child has a career pathway where they can get on and off of that continuum and earn a pretty impressive living wage and then get back on that continuum if they should have a need to. A prime example are the students from Jones High School who will graduate with their LPN and then actually be able to continue, matriculate on for their RN, and perhaps one day want to even be a physician's assistant or go on to medical school. But this notion that they can have education as a thought of a continuum that they grow and move on and off of as they have needs. You need to get off and start your employment immediately. It is not a minimum wage job. It is a career pathway. I'm very excited about that because I want our children to have options. Not either or, not do you want to go to college or go right into the workforce, but every student graduating has options. They can go into career pathways and then to college, or to college and then career pathways, and make very impressive living with their income levels. So I'm very excited for our young people. Certainly the OEP, Orlando Economic Partnership, working with us around that reimagining is going to be extremely helpful. They want to do things, if you recall, like help provide instructors and internships for our young people as they have flexible hours where they actually attend school. Very excited about that. This notion of reimagining high schools and giving every student the steak and the lobster experience, that they have those options. Then I'm very pleased for our adult population. If you notice those numbers, while concerning, it speaks to the pandemic and what is happening in the workforce. But I am pleased that we will offer our adult population opportunities to reinvent themselves as well. Very pleased that that will continue to grow. I believe it's a reflection of what's happened in our local community, but what is also happening across the country when it comes to employment and unemployment. We want people to pursue career pathways that are going to be long-lasting. And then lastly, you may recall a few years back, again, when Dr. Armbruster was here, that we talked about Orange Technical College having regionalized campuses and specializations. That project's been worked on now for a couple of years, still not ready, still not complete. I would tell you, at the request of Member Felder, I did pull back on disclosing any of those specializations per campus because it needs further review. I think the pandemic has had an impact on some of the preferences. Some of the data needs to be reviewed again. We will share that with you at a later time, but if you saw the slide earlier, it was taken out because it's just not ready at this point. That being said, I'm very pleased to provide for you this update for CTE. Stay tuned. There will be more updates as we move along. With that, Madam Chair, certainly ready to hear any discussion, answer any questions.
Thank you. All right, we'll begin with Member Felder.
Ms. Stefanowicz, thank you so much for your report, and Superintendent Jenkins, thank you also for the update and also your comments regarding the need for children in high school to have an opportunity to have skills that lead to a career pathway, because we do know education is a great equalizer, whether it's books or technical vocational studies, it is a great equalizer. I just want to just kind of comment and just reiterate some of the things that was mentioned in your report. I am very excited about high school students having this opportunity. I often tell people that my father was he owned a dry cleaning business, and that sent me to Spelman College. My mother was an educator, but his work as a businessman was where the money was really made, and was able to send me to college. So I thank God for that. Also, I like the idea that you mentioned ESC students having an opportunity to be a part of internships, and also some of our English speakers of other language being able to have that teaching, also along with learning the skill for a career. I think that's very important, because sometimes if you speak another language, you may feel intimidated and feel like you can't learn skills because of the language barrier. So I'm happy that we're going to offer that opportunity, because that's so important, especially in the state of Florida, especially in Orlando. Next, I am this experiential learning that you mentioned. I think it's a good idea to have students be able to go to, say, a dealership, or go to, a dealership and job shadow, know what goes on besides just one particular career, but there's a myriad of careers that they can learn and be a part of. I think that's important. I like the fact that you looking at the numbers. I also am looking at numbers. Mid-Florida is one of the schools, technical schools, also the school that's here. And I'm looking at the numbers all the time. I ask about the numbers because of where the school is situated. I want to make sure that we have opportunity, and we do. There are great programs at our tech schools, especially at Mid-Florida. And when I hear that there's a waiting list, that excites me. That means that we can help people become economically empowered. Because when you are economically disenfranchised, it's not good. It's not good for the city. It's not good for any of us. But when you can, get a job and work, Maslow say there are 3 things that people will do anything to make sure they have: food, shelter, and clothing. And when you have a skill, that helps you deal with that in a much better way. And lastly, I know the budget, state budget, they're looking at kinds of things this week on these funding. So hopefully we'll get the monies that we need, because that's always the issue, I know, to try to make sure there's enough money, because we have the students. People are waiting and wanting to be a part of our tech program. So hopefully the state will be good to us and we will be able to get the funding that we need so that our programs at all of our tech centers will be able to have the flexibility to teach as many students who are interested in coming in. And lastly, I can't say it enough, I'm so glad high school students are having this opportunity to come in, to learn the skill, and they may not want to continue on, but they can get a job right there. I'm just so happy about that. So you'll be hearing more from me, and thank you so much for your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. Member Cobert.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I know this is something that is of great importance to everyone up here and for our students in our community. I know we've spent the last few years really expanding our options and growing that menu of opportunities, but what I really like is how you're now bringing all that in to focus and to a true alignment with what our community needs and what our industry needs. So I like that a lot. I loved where you are creating the leads database that's generated from social media inquiries, because that's how our students communicate, and that's how they do their research. So I like that you're meeting them where they are. The one piece of feedback that I would give you from the community, I have had many parents that I personally know, teachers, and they're trying to navigate the system, trying to figure out how they look at what the opportunities are in CTE. What's the step-by-step? So you mentioned awareness, whether it's for guidance counselors, students, or parents. Just go in and look at, if I were a parent or I were a student who didn't know where to start, creating that very easy, hit the easy button, step by step, what are my options? Who do I talk to? How do I get started? That's what I'm hearing from the community, that they kind of pick up the catalog and they don't know where to go. So I know that you're the expert and you'll solve that piece, but really appreciate your presentation and the direction that you're taking us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Cobert. Member Gould.
Yes, thank you very much for this presentation. Again, I'll reiterate that I love the career pathing. I know that it is student-centric, but we have to be aware of, and I know you are, because you and I talk about this, but we have to be aware of the career paths that are out there, because students don't even know what jobs they might get. For example, if you talk about energy, right now we're doing a fabulous job with bringing and lifting up some newer technologies, but there are things that will happen in the next 5 years that will make that a very robust career, not only from the standpoint of the traditional things of buildings, but when you look at cars and buses and you see charging station now even for the public scooters in some cities. There are all kinds of things that are happening that I don't think our kids know about. So as we're exposing them, something similar to what Member Cobert was saying, I think we need not only that click to easy guide, but this kind of skill set really opens up these kind of doors. And I remember doing that test 120 years ago when I was in school. But that, I think there's a lot of automated systems out there that help with that. That piece of it, so that they can see, so that if they know they're interested, say, in healthcare, and they may like the sciences, but they might be actually better at, graphic design or leadership skills, it opens up something they hadn't even thought of, because as soon as you say healthcare, they think nurse or doctor. They don't think about running the billing office. They don't think about the registration. They don't think about the lab techs. They don't think about the facility management. There's all kinds of things in that. I love that we're doing more short-term training. I think especially right now as people are reconsidering their careers, but what else is out there that we might need to train? And I don't know the answer to this. This is an open-ended question. But what is the industry seeing in kind of some new businesses that are now home-based? Is there a course we need to offer on even how to set up your home-based business? Because if you were an employee for a long time, your taxes are completely different. You know, there's a whole segment that you have to learn on how to, you know, file your taxes, and do you want to become an LLC if you're going to really expand your business, or an S Corp or a B Corp or a C Corp. So I think that basic, not getting too far in the weeds in that, but those basic things. As part of what we teach our students, I would love to see us incorporate some of that basic business knowledge, which would also teach basic finances. So if I am learning how to repair an air conditioner, or I am working on a cybersecurity project, there's a cost of goods that goes with that. There's a timetable to solve the problem, and then there's a market value to that. And if they can just understand those three things, no matter what they're doing, it can be applied to a home budget, it can be applied to buying a car. But if they start to understand cost of goods, the time it takes, the investment, the labor, and then what it would be valued at in the market, so they know if it takes them 10 hours to fix an air conditioner that takes everybody else 2 hours, and you're not paid for 10 hours of work, you're only paid for 2 hours of work, you just lost, 8 hours of time for free. So, there's an understanding that starts to happen. I'd love to see us increase our energy track, and I know we have to do that. We're looking at expansion of our own transportation system, but I think there's a whole industry segment with where we may be going as a community. There's going to be a lot of multimodal transportation. There's going to be a whole new skill set of people that we need to operate that. The same with securities and some of the things that we didn't even need when I came into the school board years ago. Now we need people who understand security systems in a way that we didn't before. I won't say any more about that. And then I know COVID put a damper on this, but I don't think we're doing as much advertising. And so there's a lot of people out there who right now don't know what they can get from Orange Technical College, and we need to be speaking to them. So, the billboards were great, but maybe SEO ads are even better, and Facebook ads and whatever the latest flavor of social media is if they advertise on it. But there needs to, I think, be lifted some target marketing for people who are out there doing searches on different job industries. And with the LPN, and I know I think this is taught now by Valencia and the county, but is EMS taught through the fire department? Where is that taught? Because that's another great entry-level pathway into healthcare that pays well, and they often go on to being great nurses or ARPNs.
I can tell you that's part of what we're trying to wrap into the project with APOPCA.
Okay. All right, perfect. I didn't remember that. Well, thank you. That was it.
Thank you.
All right, Member Byrd, Vice Chair Byrd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Again, I'll just add my kudos to you for this great program. We've spoken many times about how important our CTE programs are, and how really they are life-changing. I mean, this is life-changing stuff. The rapid credentialing that you've been talking about for people that you have been able to pay for that through the grants, and in their quick, fast programs, they can get out and change their lives. This is the stuff that elevates community, elevates people out of poverty. This is really life-changing. So I think the path that you're on, trying to really focus in on what the industry needs, what our local business people need, and making sure that we're providing those pathways for our kids it's just great. I also loved hearing that you are looking at maybe expanding the ESE transition work that we have piloted at Westside. I think I've been there. I've seen those students working, and they're wonderful, and they love what they do, and that kind of work is really good for them because it's repetitive. Some of it's repetitive. They know exactly what they have to do. It doesn't change too quickly for them. It's good work for them, and being able to provide those students with a way to make a living wage, and more importantly, just to feel like they have a purpose every day is just so wonderful and so important. So I'd love to hear that. I would agree with what Member Gould said about the marketing. I think that definitely needs to be something that we work on. I know that I love the idea of the advisory councils that you've talked about, and I think that's a great way to get the word out. I think the more business leaders that know about the opportunities that we have at Orange Technical College, the better. And everyone's primed for this right now. I was just looking at the Apopka Area Chamber of Commerce just started business advisory councils where they're asking business leaders to come together for the sole purpose of what you said, working with advising our local high schools in our area, the magnet programs and the vocational programs, and trying to tell them what their local businesses need, and also working with those students. So I know the West Orange Chamber does stuff like that. So I think the businesses are ready and willing. They're excited to get involved with schools. So I just think that this is such a good time for bringing them in. And finally, I'm just going to kind of touch on the career guidance like Member Cobert was talking about. I think that really is going to be, as we look ahead to changing maybe the way we do things to set kids up on a career path, I think that's going to be really key because, as Member Cobert knows, these kids, if you come in there in 9th and 10th grade, right now for kids in regular classrooms or in honors classrooms, the guidance counselor comes into the classroom and gives them their course selections. These are your choices for next year. This is all a lot of these kids see, unless they happen to have a parent at home that's very proactive and showing them choices. That's all they're hearing is, you have these choices for next year. These are your courses. And this is the path. You can go this way. You can take AP classes, and that's pretty much it. Like they don't see it. And then if you come in there and you tell them about different programs, they may not even understand what those careers are because they've never been exposed to a lot of these careers, like Member Gould said. So I think exposure, for one, is huge. I love the idea of starting really young, even in elementary. I know Advent Health and Apopka has, before COVID, had the elementary kids come and visit the hospital, and they would meet nurses, and they would, show them some things at the hospital. And those kids got so excited about being at the hospital for an afternoon. And they would always say, I'm going to work at the hospital one day, But just exposing our elementary kids to things like that, I think will, can maybe plant that little seed that'll make them in middle school and high school, hey, you remember how cool that was when I went to go visit there? What can I do to get on a path towards that career? So I think exposure is huge, but then I also think that we really have to do a better job at showing our kids that there are other options there besides just, you have to take these credits to get your diploma and go to college, or take these classes, you can do dual enrollment or AP and you go to college. I mean, or you don't. And that's all I hear a lot from kids, that's all they're hearing. So I think the more we can do to introduce all these pathways, the better. But thank you so much for your work in this area. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Let's hear from Member Castro-Dental.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for that presentation. These are certainly not the old days of VOTEC when we had choices of auto mechanics or bookkeeping, And these are really, we have such a diverse offering, and I appreciate the way that you're connecting with our industries and our community. And I'm really excited about the efforts to connect our ESE students who are transitioning, to give them that added support. That's a new element that I'm excited about. So I'm happy that that is going to be offered. And I also agree with what Member Gould said about how we market what we're offering. It's the Orange Technical College is such a much better value for what our students get versus the for-profit colleges out there that are also marketing to the same students. So I appreciate that, and I look forward to hearing about how we're going to address that. Thanks.
Thank you, Member Castrodano. Member Gallo.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for this great presentation. I always learn so much because we usually get briefed on these prior to the board meetings in case we have questions. But so you get re-immersed into it. So you hear it once and you hear it again, and I always learn something new the second time. So I really appreciate all this great information. I just want to reiterate what's been set up here already from my fellow school board members. I think it's exposure is so important. The earlier we can expose them to it. When I was in Leadership Orange, the very first Leadership Orange class, many moons ago, we had a field trip out to the tech center in Member Felder's area. And they were showing us all these great things, and at the time it looked far different than it does now because we've grown so much, we've innovated so much, we've learned so much. We're not teaching the same classes or certifications or credentials back then that we are now because the market, that's not what the market is dictating now, and we've kept up with the market, which is fabulous. But I often said that it would be super neat if we could take our students our dual enrollment students or our students that are immersed in these programs and take them into like elementary school during teach-in. Like, how cool would that be? Because then you're exposing students on teach-in, and they look up to older children, right? They look up to their elders, not their elders, but the teenagers, and they could share their experiences on how they got here and how cool it was and how much they enjoyed it. I always thought that would be a really good marketing thing that we could do internally to expose our elementary kids to more programming. But just to reiterate everything everybody says up here, I love the ESE, that we're doing the transition, that we're really looking at all of our students and trying to meet students' needs where they are. I love the fact that we're trying to look at their days and kind of meet them where they are if they need to work, and then they can have school in the afternoon. How do we make that happen? I know there's some barriers with transportation, but just the forward thinking and being innovative and really trying to build this great program. And OCPS offers so much choice for our students, and this is just a key part of it, but we do so many other things that are so innovative. I met with 2 people this morning, and we're doing a pilot program at West Orange that I know Pam's aware of, that's teaching a really innovative course that could lead to CTE, could lead to college and career. About it, when you talked about the finances, it's teaching that financial piece. It's teaching the soft skills, because we've had a lot of conversations up here about students not having the soft skills that they need to be successful in today's world. And I think we've all said, okay, that's great. We know it's a problem. What are we going to do about it? And then I find out this morning they've already begun. OCPS has already begun to do something about it. So how cool is that we're making an impact on students' lives across the county. So thank you and your team for all that you do.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations for the presentation. I just want to share the opportunity that I had in Leadership Orange when I used to be the Teacher of the Year in 2017, that I visited one of the sites of OTC, and I remember the story of Dr. Brewster, who used to be our superintendent for OTC. And he was telling about how he received, he finished the certification, then go to the university, then became a doctor, and then became the superintendent of the OTC. So I think that we have so many great stories from students who achieve first certifications and then go and became maybe business owners or continue education. So I think that in marketing, if we can share all those stories, I think that it will be like an inspirational aspect for our students, maybe in elementary school, in high school, in middle school. Even when you go into the OTC sites, see on the TV the stories, I think that can impact our students. And when we think about ESC students as well, we have a lot of stories, because I remember visited Avalon site, and we have ESC students completing certification. And I had conversations with counselors from Avalon site as well, how well they're doing in certain certifications. So I think that sharing those stories, even ESOL students and adults that are trying to complete the high school diploma, the GED, when they see that they are very advanced, they allow them to take one class and inspire them to continue. So I think that those stories can be very appealing to our students that maybe are not going to any school. Maybe they withdraw, or maybe they only have a high school diploma with any certification. I think that maybe the morning announcement in high school, maybe if you're thinking about completing a certification, and put something small, maybe the address, please contact your counselor, or please, this is our website. I don't know, I was just thinking about experiences and what I heard. So thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Lopez. Well, I think everybody has said it all. Thank you so much. Great presentation. Keep up the wonderful work. I think, Member Lopez, you were talking about those success stories, and it reminded me of a gentleman who is now a senior manager at Orlando Health over quality control. And it makes me think of what Member Gould said. He started out, he got his EMS degree because he wanted to be a firefighter, and not degree, certificate, to be a firefighter. And while he was a firefighter, he put himself through school and became a medical doctor. Then he became a trauma surgeon at Orlando Health, and then we hired him. Then he oversaw the jail and animal services and became the medical director for all of Orange County over all of EMS services. He became the public safety director for me and medical director. And then, like I said, when I left, he left, and now he's over quality control over at Orlando Health. And he's reinvented himself over and over again in life. And through each of those iterations, there's been a role that education has played. And so the idea that you can have steak and lobster and everything in between, and then have dessert, and then have dessert at the end of the day. So that's what it's all about. I think it's hard for people of my generation to imagine that. I know my dad told me when I decided to go to college, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. He was in his 40s. He goes, "Hey, I don't either." And I keep changing. But for generations, people didn't do that. And now, not only can you, but frankly, you have to. You have to have the skill sets, and you have to be able to keep reapplying yourself in different ways. So pretty exciting time to be in public education, I think. Pretty exciting time for our students. Challenging, but exciting. All right, thank you so much. We are going to move on to our agenda. Dr. Jenkins, do we have any changes to our agenda this afternoon?
We have one item that is withdrawn after our public hearing. One item withdrawn from the consent agenda. That's item 602.
602 is withdrawn. All right, thank you. And so Chair finds cause to amend the agenda. Is there a motion to amend the agenda? Motion by Vice Chair. Is there a second? We all are quiet. Second by Member Gould. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We do have a number of public comments today. We have one on item, sorry. We have two public hearings. We have public comments on item 302. Let's take up item 301 first, the public hearing on public review for the adoption of the K-12 math textbook instructional resources and materials. Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. As required by law, there will be two opportunities for public input on this particular item for our math curriculum. I've asked Rob Bixler to come and speak to it briefly.
Chair Jacobs, members of the board, superintendent. Yeah, tonight we'll be having a public hearing on two items. 3.01 is the K-12 math adoption. We will bring this back to the board on March 8th for the second hearing. Also, you have 3.02, which is the public hearing on the 5th grade instructional materials to teach reproductive health. That is a new requirement by state statute that we bring that to the board and for public comment. This is the same materials we've used for many years, and the same provisions will be in effect this year as it has been in the past. We'll have opt-out letters that will be going home to the parents in multiple languages. So nothing has changed other than the fact that this is now moving forward every year. We have to bring this for public hearing.
So, Madam Chair, on 3.01, there will need to be no action on the part of the board. On item 3.02, there does have to be approval of the same 5th grade curriculum we've had for several years now has to be officially approved tonight. The first one is just, for math, is your first hearing only.
Okay, and the public comment is from Carl Brewer, and it is regarding 3.02. Is Mr. Brewer here? Mr. Brewer? Mr. Brewer, welcome, sir.
Good evening, Chair and Superintendent, Board. Thank you for having me this evening. The reason that I am here this evening is to speak on this issue for the 5th grade reproductive health that is going to be introduced into our students. I don't think that it should be approved at this time because after reviewing it, I have found that page 18 is an unnecessary addition to the material. I felt this information is inappropriate, and especially for 5th grade children. I think that this time of a child's life would be much better spent learning critical and creative thinking skills, compassion, manners, and other attributes that would lead to success versus this topic specifically. And that's all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you for being here to share your concerns. Any other, well, no, if we had any others, I would know it. All right, with that, the public comment is closed. Thank you again, Mr. Brewer. Is there a motion or discussion? Member Gallo?
I'm sorry, are we still on the math adoption?
No, I'm sorry, we don't need to take any action on the math adoption. We are on 3.02, and this we do need to take action on, and that I need a...
Yes, okay. So I have a question.
Please.
So parents can opt themselves out of this instruction if they choose not to have their child participate. Is that correct?
Yes, Ms. Gallo, once we take action, if we take action tonight, then beginning this week and next week, memos will be going out to the schools that will inform them of all the information where parents can review the materials, opt-out letters will be provided, and a Connect Orange message will go out from each of the schools. So we provide them ample opportunities to opt out if they choose not to have their child participate. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it sounds like a very easy process if you don't agree
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
with the content. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. If there aren't any other questions, is there a motion?
I move to support it.
And that was Member Casterdental?
Yes.
Thank you. And is there a second? I think I heard a second from Member...
Second.
Second from Member Felder? That's okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Bixler. All right, we are on the consent agenda. We do have a public speaker on a matter that's on the consent agenda. It is a disciplinary issue, and do we run this on Orange TV, or do we hold these? I don't remember.
My apologies, Madam Chair. That needs to be pulled to non-consent.
Pull it off of consent so that we can take that up separately. All right, so I need a motion to amend the consent agenda to remove item 603.
So moved.
Motion by Member Cobert. Is there a second?
Can we amend to, can you please move it to item 17.11?
We will remove it and mark it as 17 point, what was it?
11.
11? And does the motion maker agree with that? And Member Lopez, do you agree with this, with that change? Okay, Member Lopez seconded the motion. All in favor of the motion to amend the consent agenda to remove 6.03 and add 7.11, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. At this point, let's take then the amended consent agenda. I know it seems redundant, but we need a motion to actually approve the amended consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Member Gallo, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Lopez. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And now we are on non-consent agenda 1701, request approval of the renewal of the charter school contract for Lucius and Emma Nixon Academy charter for 5 years, and authorize staff to enter into a new charter contract based upon the model contract developed by the state. Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Thank you. Actually, Mr. Moody is going to walk us through, along with staff, is going to walk us through each of the charter school renewals. Before we get started, let's have a review of the actual renewal process so that everyone is on the same page, and then we will start each of those, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I present Dr. Kia Scott with the School Choice Services to provide that overview of our renewal process for charter schools. Dr. Scott?
Protocol having been established, good evening, everyone. Before the individual items are addressed, I wanted to provide a background of the process our department uses for charter renewals as well as contract negotiation. Before you tonight are 3 charter contracts as well as 7 charter school renewals. Regarding the charter contracts, after approval is given by the school board, our office enters into negotiation with the charter schools boards and attorney, as well as with our deputy general counsel.
So sorry. Do you want me to take that up now, or when we are done with this one?
We can do it.
Okay, just, if I can just interrupt for just a minute, in case Miss Jeanette, and I don't have a last name, Miss Jeanette is still here. Miss Jeanette, I am so sorry I overlooked your interest in speaking to this. We're going to move to reconsider this as soon as we're done with this, so we can take your comment. And thank you for staying around. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Dr. Kia.
The standard state charter contract is utilized during this process. Once completed, the contract is reviewed by our Deputy General Counsel before notification to the schools. The schools are notified, and then the contract is placed on our current board agenda. The length and term of the contract is going to be included within each contract. It is important to note that the term does not preclude the school board from future action based upon good cause. For charter renewals, a culmination visit is completed and done by our renewal committee. That committee consists of school choice staff, district staff, as well as selected charter school principals. Prior to that renewal period, it is important to note that all charter schools have 2 visits a year. We are in the schools for a fall compliance visit as well as a spring compliance visit, so we do not wait until the contract is expiring before we are in those schools, making sure that they are educationally, financially, and for governance compliance. By the time a renewal cycle does come, our office is well aware of the schools that are statutorily eligible to be renewed. Schools that have not been eligible in the past have voluntarily closed and were not brought to you, for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Scott. So we have a number of charter agenda items for you, 7 renewals and 3 new contracts for you to consider today. 1701 is Lucius and Emma Nixon Academy. They opened July 1, 2015 as an Orange County Public School charter school following approval of the school board. The school is located at 1780 Mercy Drive, Orlando. Lucius and Emma Nixon Academy serves approximately 86 students in grades K through 5. The renewal committee comprises of school choice staff, district personnel, and charter school principals conducted the renewal visit December 9th, 2021. Lucius and Emma Nixon Academy meets the statutory requirements for renewal as established in Florida Statute 102.33, Section 8. And it is the recommendation that Lucius and Emma Nixon Academy be granted a 5-year term of renewal for their charter school contract. This evening, we have school choice staff and Principal Lumpkin here from Lucius and Emma Nixon to answer any questions you might have. Superintendent Jenkins?
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Let me check. I do not see any speaker cards for this particular item, but given my oversight a minute ago, I want to be super cautious and make sure that I'm not missing anything. The next speaker card would be on item 1707. Anyone here to speak on this particular item? Okay. Seeing none, Member Gould, you're recognized.
Mr. Moody, traditionally we give 10-year contract terms. Could you explain a little bit about the analysis for why we're doing a 5-year recommendation on this one?
Yes, ma'am. So Lucius and Emma Nixon, there's a number of things to consider when you're about the term of contract, when you're considering the term of contract. One thing to consider, one of many things to consider, is school grade. So the past school grade in 2019 was a D. Lucius and Emma Nixon opened up as a K2 school for years, and then they decided 2018-19 to include grades 3, 4, and 5. So that first year that they included grades 3, 4, and 5, their school grade in 2019 was a D, and since then we've had no other school grades. So that is one consideration. Yes, ma'am, but
okay, and I know that when we were talking about this school, you felt they were on track, but wanted to give them the 5-year so that we could do the check-in.
Yes, ma'am. School visits, they have a new principal. They've had several principals, a few principals since they've opened. The principal that they have now as an acting principal is truly committed to Lucius and Emma Nixon in that community, and my visit there as well with the renewal, I can tell you that things look good compared to my first visit years ago. So they are on the right track. We think that they'll pull their grade up. Yes, ma'am. But we'll continue to monitor as we do all schools.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight that because that'll be a little different than what they hear on most of the other schools, and why we would look at that. We get the books in advance. We have discussions in advance, so you probably won't. You'll see some questions tonight, but you won't hear a lot of questions. But that one was different, so I wanted to highlight it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I will entertain. Oh, I'm sorry. Member Gallo? Member Castrodental. Member Gallo?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So in our discussions today, we discussed this charter and we discussed their grade, and you shared information about mid-year where they are. Can you just share that? The iReady data, they showed the iReady data with you, and it's showing that they're making great gains. Can you just...
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Scott will share that information.
Just so that we have the information, because I think that it's important to know that they're proving right now in this moment that they're making strides with their students.
We have so many pages. Okay. The school has provided iReady data for us. During our renewal visit, they actually did a very lengthy presentation on that iReady data. And what they have done is they have compared where they were currently at the beginning of this school year to the end of last school year once we were doing the digital learning as well as face-to-face. Just looking at, from what we have that was done, the last diagnostic was done for 5/25/21 and compared to this particular school year. The diagnostic 4 showed that At the end of Diagnostic 4, 21% of the children were in the quote-unquote green area, which shows improvement, whereas prior to that, the year before, the end of the year before, they were at, let me put my glasses on because it's really 4%. So they did an increase there. Math Diagnostic 4, they were at 27% proficiency. And prior to that, they did not have any students in the green at the end of the year. There was 0. And most of their students fell in that mid-range at 53%.
That answer your questions, Member Gallo. Thank you.
Follow up?
Of course.
All right, thank you. So I just wanted to highlight that because I think it's important to show that they're making gains with their students. And I also want to do it now because I'll forget at the end. I want to commend Dr. Scott and Dr. Moody for the work that they do during this process. There's 10 of them on our agenda tonight, and they're very thorough in how they evaluate and the site visits that they do with our charter schools. And I'm so comfortable that I know when they come to us and they're like, this school's, I know that the D doesn't look good, but they're doing better, they're making strides. I have full trust that they've vetted it, and that the charter's providing for the students. So I just want to commend you and your department. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Casterdental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Dr. Scott and Mr. Moody, for all the work you've done in assuring us of the process. I have a question about, I know they had a D back in 2019. If we were to get school grades again this next year, if it's another D, what happens then to their contract?
So once the school is renewed, they're not going to be under corrective action yet because they only have 1 school grade. Corrective action will start if there are 3 grades that are lower than a C, unless, unfortunately, if a school gets 2 Fs, they'll automatically close.
Okay.
If they get to a status of 3 Ds, they will go into corrective action where they have different opportunities to do corrective action.
Okay, so even though
that wouldn't happen the next school term, but it would go in, maybe the second year after that.
Okay, thank you. And so even though we're looking at a renewal for 5 years, that doesn't mean that you stop the site visits.
Oh, no.
It doesn't mean that they have, that regardless of what grades or improvement they make, that it's clear for 5 years. We continue that annual inspection and evaluation.
Correct.
Can you share with us what those site visits look like? Like, what are you looking for when you do a site visit?
Depending on when school grades come out, so for instance, let's go back to 19 when grades were released, they came out late. So what we would do in the fall is we would look at what the school grades were, and we have sit-down discussions with principal and their teams to say, hey, this is what your goal was stated, you didn't make it, you did make it, what are you going to do, what is your plan to make sure that it continues or improves? So we do hit the educational marks. This particular school year, since we did not have FSA grades, we opted to use iReady, and it just so happens that in the future, I guess we're going to be using progress monitoring, for the state assessment, so I think we were in the right direction there. So we do discuss that data. We always go through safety compliance because we know that's one thing that will close a school down. And we also review finances, and we do have our finance department and budget department that does review the submissions that we receive monthly.
Thank you. That's pretty thorough. Do you also walk through the halls and look in classrooms and see how it's actually running?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I've had.
Thank you. All right. Do we have a motion? Floor is open.
Motion, Chair. I move we accept the superintendent's recommendation and award the contract for 5 years with Nixon Academy Charter.
All right. We have a motion by Member Cobert. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Gallo. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. We're going to back up. And we're going to go back to item 302. And again, I apologize to the board and to the public, my oversight in not seeing this card. We need to move to reconsider 3.02. If I could have a motion to move to reconsider.
I move to reconsider.
Thank you,
item
Member Gallo.
3.02.
Do we have a second? Second, Member Gould. All in favor of the motion to reconsider, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, and we have public comment already on the record from Mr. Brewer regarding his concerns specifically about page 18. I have Jeanette, and Miss Jeanette, I am sorry, I don't have a last name, I don't think, but please.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Wise, W-I-Z-E. So I'm not as organized as I normally am with this, so apologize for anything in that regard. I don't know what has or hasn't been included in previous curriculum for the reproductive health, so I can only speak to now that I'm aware. I'd like to also start with a little bit of background data to kind of give you the perspective of why I'm going to be raising a couple of these concerns. According to the CDC, suicide is second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 34 in the United States. In 2019, around 23% of the LGB plus youth attempted suicide versus 6% heterosexual youth. 4.2 million youth experience homelessness every year, and that 40% of those youth are LGB plus. This number is even more astounding when you consider that LGB plus people make up only 7% of the youth population. I accept everybody for who they are, and I do not accept the education system pushing an adult agenda on an entire student body. And this creates unnecessary confusion in an already challenging time in their lives. Fifth graders are substantially made up of 10-year-olds. This is your average fifth grader. Think about that little person that's so young and now potentially going to be getting this reproductive health curriculum. When I look through this, I'm only mostly looking at the female because I have daughters, but some of the issues raised was regarding the male curriculum. Things seem great at first, very factual, talking about the reproductive system. You're talking about words that aren't comfortable for fifth graders, but they're regular. Then you get to what I feel definitely starts as an advertisement for the company that must be sponsoring this, and we talk about pads, which is perfect. That's exactly what a person who's starting a menstrual cycle is going to go to. Tampons, cups, which go inside the body, menstrual underwear. Okay, that sounds like something that would be potentially relevant for a fifth grader. Items that don't belong in that curriculum that are above their age level, definitely tampons and cups. I'm not even comfortable talking about that, quite honestly, myself. Then you go through and it talks about pads again, and that's great. Then we get into strict advertisements. I don't know what this really has to do with reproductive health. I don't know what this really has to do with reproductive health, for a fifth grader especially. Age appropriate, lots of dialogue on tampons. Does really a fifth grader need to know all the stuff about a tampon? I think pads are exactly what they need to start out with. More information that's advertisement on a tampon. And then it goes into TSS, which if you use tampons, that's a risk. So why are we talking about a risk at an age level that's probably not exactly appropriate? Then you really go into the heart of concern after all this other advertisement. And yeah, and that's definitely the idea of talking about your body and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jeanette.
Sex, gender, and society. Okay?
Jeanette.
Completely inappropriate.
3 minutes, thank you. Okay. We are poised now to reconsider we have reconsidered, to have a motion on item 3.02. Is there a motion to approve or deny 3.02?
I move to approve 3.02.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair to move to approve 302. Is there a second? Second by Member Lopez. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Moody, we're back to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. So before you this evening for consideration, 17.02, we have UCP West Charter. UCP West Orange Charter School opened July 1, 2001 as an Orange County Public School charter following approval of the school board. The school is located at 1441 Winter Garden Vineland Road, Winter Garden, Florida. UCP West Orange Charter serves approximately 221 students in grades toddler through 5th. The renewal committee comprised of school choice staff, district personnel, and charter school principals conducted a renewal visit on December 14th, 2021. UCP West Orange Charter School meets the statutory standards for renewal, and it is our recommendation that UCP West Orange Charter School be granted a 10-year term of renewal for their charter school contract.
Thank you. And I am just double checking. I could have sworn that we would have, I am so sorry, I could have sworn we would have, I got so many emails on this.
We all did.
That I just want to make extra certain that one of these isn't just mismarked. But no, we don't. Okay, we have a motion? Oh, Member Casadano, you have a question? Thank you.
Not a question as much as a comment about the emails that we received in support. The most powerful ones were from the students. And I appreciate the students who reached out to let us know how important this was. So anytime the students get involved, it shows the sincerity and the need, and I appreciate that. So that's all I wanted to say.
Member Casadano, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I also want to appreciate, because it was Saturday I was responding. No, I think I responded Friday to an email, and Saturday I was checking emails, and one of them was from a student saying that he or she, I think it was a she, but I could be wrong, was so honored to have heard back from all the board members. So I also was really proud that the board members had responded back as well. So yeah, it's always wonderful to hear from students, but these students in particular sure had wonderful stories to tell. Member Cobert.
I'd like to make the motion, Chair.
Stole my motion.
Well, I think we're all
You were
big
trying to get
fans
my
of the
attention,
work
too.
that UCP does, and so I would like to move that we approve the renewal of the charter school contract with UCP West Orange.
Second by, motion by Member Cobert, second by, I know she was trying, Member Gould. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Back to you, Mr. Moody.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Item number 1703, UCP Transitional Learning Academy opened July 1, 2006 as an Orange County Public School charter, following approval of the Orange County School Board. The school is located at 3305 South Orange Avenue, Orlando. UCP Transitional Learning Academy serves approximately 145 students in grades 6 through 12. The renewal committee comprised of district staff, school choice staff, and charter school principals conducted their renewal visit on December 7th, 2021. UCP Transitional Learning Academy meets the statutory standards for renewal as established in Florida statute, and it is the recommendation that UCP Transitional Learning Academy be granted a 10-year renewal of their charter school contract. Chair?
Thank you. Member Gould, you're recognized. Thank goodness there were two. That's all I got to say. I'm glad there were two. We're going to walk out of here peacefully.
I make a motion to support the superintendent's recommendation.
All right, we have a motion from Member Gould. Do we have a second? A second by Vice Chair. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Moody, you're recognized, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. 1704 Bridge Prep Academy opened up July 1, 2016 as an Orange County Public School charter school following board approval. The school is located at 5710 La Costa Drive, Orlando, and it serves approximately 314 students in grades K through 8. The renewal committee visited on January 12th, 2022. Bridge Prep Academy of Orange County meets the statutory standards for renewal as established by Florida statute, and it is a recommendation that the Bridge Prep Academy of Orange County be granted a 5-year term of renewal of their charter school contract. It needs to be noted that the original resolution asked for a 10-year term. We have since agreed upon a 5-year. Please let the record reflect that change. A 5-year renewal contract is the ask.
Thank you. And I believe this handwriting is a little difficult, but I am pretty sure this is Joey Gordon Fernandez?
That is, yes, ma'am, that is the principal, Joy Gordon
Joy.
Fernandez. She had signed up, but she just whispered in my ear that she doesn't want to speak, but she stands ready to answer any questions that you
Okay,
might
thank
have.
you. No, thank you very much. All right, then, with no public comments, is there a motion?
We have two.
Member Gould, and then Member Lopez. Member Gould?
So again, Mr. Mooney, could you give a little background on some of the transition this school is going through and the reason for our request for a shorter-term contract?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And by the way, we have agreed upon, prior to this evening, our office and charter schools have agreed upon the length of term. We've had conversation when it was originally 10-year. We came back to them after the agenda was published and said, you know what, based on the letter grades of 3Ds in 2017, 18, and 19, we feel the need to reduce that to a 5-year contract term. Keep in mind, and for the general public, I know you know, that our staff continually monitors charter schools at least twice a year, pop-in visits. They are working hard over at Bridge Prep to increase their school grade when we eventually do get school grades, but there's other things that they monitor as well. And we feel confident that within the 5 years they'll get that up, but continue, trust me, we continue to monitor this school as well as all 41.
Thank you.
Member Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also went to the school and I saw the commitment of Dr. Gordon. She's doing an amazing job in the school. I can see, you know, the vibe of the student. When you visit a school and you see all the students loving the principal, something is happening there, you know, and I saw the love that they feel for her and the love that she feels for the students as well. We had a long conversation. I also met the staff. I believe that they will improve the grade. I think that we are all thinking also about the grades, but I also think that during the pandemic, it's kind of unfair to think about grades at this moment because we all struggling on grades. But that's the way I feel. That was my experience when I visited the school, when I saw the student, and when I had the conversation with Dr. Gordon. I just want to share that with my school board members, you know, with my
Thank you,
colleagues.
Member Lopez.
as well.
That's helpful, very helpful to all of us. Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's correct in the year prior to the pandemic, when we left for spring break and didn't come back, they were on track to be a C, correct?
That's what the visit showed, that their in-house grades, data monitoring, and yeah, they were on track to become a C.
Okay, so I know that, I mean, 3Ds, I think, gives us all a little bit of pause when we look at any school, whether it be a traditional public school or a charter school, we would take pause with those grades. But I do have faith in the administration, and it's like, you know, Member Lopez has been there. She knows how much they love the kids. They are making learning gains. I think that the data so far this year shows that they are making learning gains, and so I would be fine with renewing them. I would support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gallo. And I think, as Member Lopez said, if we weren't experiencing learning losses nationally and worldwide because of the pandemic, or not, if not learning losses, not the gains that we would be traditionally expecting, I would be more concerned. But I think it is certainly a symptom as well of what we are all seeing in the education arena. So with that, I will open the floor. Member Kester-Dental.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
No, that's okay. Go
Sometimes,
ahead.
you know, I listen to the discussion and I have questions that pop up. So,
no, it's okay.
Is this school one that has had new leadership since those previous 3Ds?
No, ma'am, it's same leadership. Dr. Joy Fernandez.
Okay, so what exactly, you mentioned something that you have faith in the leadership. Is there something different that they're doing?
So they're under I'm forgetting, I've gone blank now, but not reorg, come on. What is it?
I would call it a self-imposed corrective action. They do have a management company, but this particular year, they have been utilizing the services of a curriculum expert to assist them with their work. Just as an aside, even though they did not opt into a grade this school year, I think it's important to note, within that document, they did show a comparison of their school to 9 other schools. And though the proficiency level was not there, they did have ELA learning gains. They were ranked 4th amongst those 10 for the increase in learning gains, and 2nd for the learning gains in the lowest 25%. For math, they did not have proficiency, but for learning gains, they were 5th for the learning gains and 1st ranking for learning gains in the lowest 25%. So they're showing, as the students continue to start with them and progress through the school, they're showing that those gains are happening. So we're going to work on proficiency.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
All right, is there a motion? Member Lopez?
Motion to renew, for the renewal of Bridge Prep for 5 years.
We have a motion by Member Lopez. Do we have a second? Second by Member Gallo. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with all members present voting in the affirmative. We are on 1705. Mr.
Yes, ma'am. 1705. Now we get into 3. The next 3 agenda items are initial contracts. They are for schools that you approved last year or prior. So the first one, 1705, Matter Academy Central Incorporated, doing business as Matter Academy, Narcoossee K-8. Requested sponsorship February 1st, 2021, to open Matter Academy, Narcoossee K-8, the high-performance system replication charter school. Application was subsequently approved by the Orange County School Board on April 27th. Matter Academy in Narcoossee K-8 will serve up to 1,300 students in grades K through 8. Upon approval of the contract, Matter Academy in Narcoossee K-8 agrees to initial contractual term of 15 years commencing on the first day of the first year of the contract school year. Madam Chair.
All right, any comments or questions from board members? I don't believe we have any speakers in the audience on item 1705. Just clarifying that. Okay, I will entertain a motion. Member Castellano. Thank you, Member.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I didn't see it at first.
Can you explain again, if you already explained it, why a new school contract is up for 15 years?
I'm going to explain, but I'm going to rely on our deputy also, General Counsel. Yes, Mr. Palmerini. They applied as a high-performing system replication, which kind of affords them different opportunities. They were deemed this by the Florida Department of Education, and it gives them, different allowances than it would a standard traditional charter school applicant.
And one of them is up to 15 years of charter school contract.
All right, follow up?
Mr. Palmerini.
Oh, you want to add more? Sorry.
No, I don't. They got exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
So,
Dr. Castellano.
So the designation high performing, it's not just an adjective, they're a high performing charter. It's a designation that they qualified for with the state under some statute.
The way the statute reads, it depends on how many schools within that system have A grades and B grades. They can't have anything lower than an A or B to be designated, to get that designation. Their finances are in order and their governance is proven to be effective.
Okay, so if we approve a 15-year, which they statutorily would qualify for, we still hold them accountable for their contract every year, the same process.
Same process.
And then if there are problems with meeting their own stated goals, then it doesn't really matter the 15-year contract. They're still under the same kind of assessment and evaluation and terms.
Correct. We will still visit, monitor the same as we do any school, and always liken a 15-year contract to a mortgage. If you have a mortgage and you default on a mortgage, what happens? It's not yours for the next term, so it's the same situation. You will still have ability to take action if they're not fulfilling their goals.
Okay, and what is the benefit of a 15-year contract to the charter school?
There are a few benefits. Because of their designation, they are able just to ask, and as well as for financing for their location.
Okay, so that's why they would ask for such a long term. It allows them to get financing for their building.
I would think a better rate, but like I said, because of their designation, they really can just ask for it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Member Castellanos. Great questions. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Member Gallo? Motion by Member Gallo. Is there a second? Motion by second by Member Cobert. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with all members present voting in the affirmative. We are on 1706.
1706, another Matter Academy. Matter Academy Central, Inc., doing business as Matter Academy Narcoossee High School, requested sponsorship February 1st, 2021, to open Matter Academy Narcoossee High School. The High Performance System Replication Charter School application was subsequently approved by the Orange County School Board on April 27th, 2021. Matter Academy Narcoossee High will serve up to 1,300 students in grades 9 through 12. Upon approval of the contract, Matter Academy Narcoossee High agrees to the initial contractual term of 15 years, commencing on the first day of the first year of the contract school year. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any comments from board members? We do not have any public comment speakers. Any members of the public that are wishing to speak on this? This would be the opportunity. All right. Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When is the high school opening in Narcoossee? When is Matter Academy opening?
Matter Academy is scheduled to open this August, and they're going to stagger, so the two schools will share the same campus. So I believe they're going to open 9th grade along with the elementary program so that they can feed into the school.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, is there a motion?
I move that we approve Matter Academy.
Motion by Member Gallo. Is there a second? Second by Member Cobert. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with all members present voting in the affirmative. We're on 1707.
1707, just four more. Discovery Education Services Incorporated, doing business as Orlando Science Charter School K-8, requested sponsorship of a high-performing charter school system replication charter February 1st, 2019, to open Orlando Science Charter School K-8. The charter school application was approved by the Orange County School Board on April 23, 2019. Orlando Science Charter School K-8 will serve up to 1,164 students in grades K-8. Upon approval of the 2022 contract, Orlando Science Charter School K-8 agrees to the initial contractual term of 15 years, commencing on the first day of the first year of the school contract.
Thank you, Mr. Moody. All right, we have one public speaker, David Fortuna. I believe I'm saying that correctly. If not, please correct me. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. It's close. David Fortuna. I'm the board chair for the governing board of directors for Discovery Education.
Okay.
And I'm not actually here to make public comment, but if any answers to questions if need be.
Great. My only question is a comment, and the T kind of took a swerve up. It looked like maybe it was a U. Got me a little confused there. 50-50 chance. Of course, I lost. Thank you for being here, Mr. Fortuna. If we have any questions, we'll direct them at you, sir. Other than Mr. Fortuna, then we have no public comments. Any board member question? Member Castellanos, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this was the charter that came before the board 3 years ago. And at the time, I think they said they didn't know where the school was going to be built. Do we have that information now?
Currently, we do not. There's no intent to open this August, though.
What was the answer just there? I'm sorry, there's no intent to...
We do not have a location currently.
Okay.
So just what happens in an instance like that, once the contract starts, which is whenever it's voted upon, statute allows for a planning year as well as 2 additional years. If within that time period, we still have no movement, then the contract is voided.
3 years.
So technically, they'll have this year and 2 additional years to either provide a location or open, and if they do not, then it's voided.
All right, thank you.
Follow-up question. The board's grounds to deny an application, are there grounds to deny an application for lack of a defined location?
No.
Deputy Counsel shaking his head, no, ma'am.
Okay. And so is Dr. Scott. So I thought that would be the answer, but I thought it would be good to clarify that publicly. Yep. All right, then, is there a motion? Go ahead.
I will move that we approve the charter.
Thank you, Member Gallo. I would have if I had to, so thank you. And you all know I try very hard not to make motions and to allow the board to do that. So is there a second? Second by Member Gould. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with all members present voting in the affirmative. We are now on 1708.
1708. Now we move back to charter school renewals. All right. 1708, Renaissance Charter School at Crown Point, opened July 1, 2016. Following school board approval. The school is located at 83 West Road, Ocoee. Renaissance Charter School at Crown Point serves approximately 1,141 students in grades K-8. The renewal committee, comprised of school choice staff, district personnel, and charter school principals, conducted the site visit, renewal visit on December 16, 2021. Again, Renaissance Charter School at Crown Point meets the statutory standards for renewal as established in Florida statute, and it is the recommendation that Renaissance Charter School at Crown Point be granted a 15-year term for their contract renewal.
Thank you, sir. We have 2 public comment cards. One is Brett Taylor. And Brett Taylor is followed by Isaiah Gamble Wilson, who I believe are both representing the school. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you. And gosh, a big thank you to you as the board. There's been a lot of conversation about charters this evening, and not a lot of thank yous to you all for the work that you've put in and allow us to do with the charter schools. I also wanted to say a special thank you to Ms. Kia, Ms. Gina, who's here, Mr. Moody, who has been to visit. Ms. Bird, I see, has stepped out, but she has been on our campus as well. So I just wanted to thank you guys for the partnership, because it's that kind of partnership that makes the difference for the kids. Contractually, obviously, and statutorily, we've met the guidelines. I get that, but it's bigger than that. There's more to that with our kids. And so tonight, I have a young gentleman, who I would like to have share with you just for a couple of seconds about what school means to him and what it means to be a part of Renaissance Charter at Crown Point.
Well, as you heard us saying a minute ago, there's nobody that we like to hear from more than students.
Amen. Amen.
So you must be Isaiah
Yes.
Gamble Wilson. Oh, I have that right?
Yes.
Welcome, sir.
Well, hello. Good evening. My name is Isaiah Gamble Wilson. I'm a proud student of Renaissance Charter at Crown Point, and I would like to share with you of many things that I love about Renaissance. One of the things is that how the teachers are devoted and have faith in our students to help our students and push them through the hard and troubling times, and to help them achieve their goals in the future. And also teachers, staff, and principals and assistant principals and deans in our school, they never make students feel like an outsider. They always treat them like family, like a newcomer to our family, or let's say like a wolf trying to being birthed into their flock or something like that. They'll be treated like that, like new families, like new incomers. And the teachers are devoted, and they always help me and myself go through a lot of stuff. If we need help with work or anything about school, they'll always be devoted and help us through it. And thanks to Mr. Taylor, Ms. Bing, Mr. Max, Mr. Godfrey, to allow me to come here and speak my truth and how much I love this school. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm glad I forgot to give that warning about no clapping public comments.
Yeah, sorry.
With the exception of you can clap for students. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. And so that concludes our public comments. Any comments or questions from board members? If not, I'll open the floor for a motion.
I'll make the motion, Chair. I move we approve the renewal of the charter school contract with Renaissance Charter School at Crown Point for 15 years.
We have a motion by Member Cobert. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Felder. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with all members present voting in the affirmative. All right, we are on
1709, I believe.
1709.
1709. Maybe I should get the young man come take my place tonight. He did much better than I did.
I think mine, actually.
Yeah, congratulations. All right, 1709 Pinecrest Creek Charter School, opened July 1, 2012, as an Orange County Public Charter School. Following approval of this board. The school is located at 1100 Lee Road, Orlando. Pinecrest Creek serves approximately 106 students in grades K through 5. The renewal committee visited January 13th, 2022. Again, Pinecrest Creek Charter School meets the statutory standards for renewal as established in Florida statutes, and it is our recommendation that Pinecrest Creek Charter School be granted a 15-year term of renewal for their charter school contract.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have, no, I'm sorry. Yes, we don't have any public comments. Correct. Anybody in the room intending to speak to this? No. With that, if there are any comments or questions from board, this would be the time. If not, the floor is open for a motion. Floor is open for a motion.
I so move.
Motion by Member Felder. Thank you, Member Felder, for coming through for us. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Gallo. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with all members present voting in the affirmative. Mr. Moody, back to you.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you. And our last one, 1710, Econ River Charter High School, opened July 1, 2016, as an Orange County Public School charter school. Following approval of this board, the school is located at 14180 East Colonial Drive, Orlando. Econ River High serves approximately 310 students in grades 9 through 12 and focuses on dropout prevention and credit recovery. The renewal committee, comprised of school choice staff, district personnel, and charter school principals, conducted the renewal visit on January 21, 2022. Econ River High School meets the statutory standards for renewal as established in statute, and it is a recommendation that Econ River Charter High School be granted a 15-year term of renewal for their charter school contract.
Thank you, sir. We do have two speaker cards for this renewal. It's Gigi Trott, and the second one, Ferry McCullum, I believe. Welcome. Well, hello.
I'm good?
Yeah, good.
Hello, I'm Gigi Trott. I've been a student at Econ River High School for a little over a year. Before attending Econ, I struggled both inside and outside of school. My grades were low, and I was behind on my credits. My parents and I were worried about my future. However, since I started attending Econ, I have brought up my GPA, and I'm now ahead of the credits a sophomore should have. Econ River has shown me the importance of my education and that I have a bright future ahead of me. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to attend such a wonderful school. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ferry McCullum. I'm here today to speak on behalf of my school, Econ River, and state why the school is crucial for someone like me to have. It sounds drastic, but before I got the opportunity to attend Econ River, I had kind of nothing. My mother had pulled me from the system for years and abandoned me, causing me to miss out on vital secondary education before my grandmother stepped in. I have severe ADHD and less severe autism that makes it difficult for me to work with FLVS, and even prior to the pandemic, I had no records that would allow me enrollment in a public school and was turned away from all high schools in my area. Econ River High School has given me an opportunity to not only graduate high school with my diploma, but the chance to turn my life around for the better. I went from having nothing to having a steady track to graduation, thanks to the dedication of the staff and their determination to see their students succeed. In a short time, I went from terrified about what I would do with my life and scrambling over options to knowing exactly what I'll become.
When I graduate by next year, I'll be going off to Daytona State College to get my bachelor's degree in nursing and become a registered nurse. I aim to be in the post-pandemic generation of nurses, ready and willing to give back to my community and the people who may need my care. I wouldn't be able to dream this big without the help of Econ River and its staff, and especially not if a school like it didn't exist in the first place. My school is crucial for the well-being of students like myself and many others. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Boy, I misjudged this. I saw speaker cards and thought, well, we're going to have opposition to 3 of these, and little did I know we'd actually have a blessing instead. So, Member Gallo, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you to the 2 speakers. You guys are, both of you are very well spoken.
Yes.
And did such a fabulous job that if I had any hesitation prior, which I didn't, I would no longer, because it's not a one-size-fits-all for every child, and the fact that a school exists that can meet your unique needs and what you need and help you be successful in your life, that's our only job. Our only job is to produce successful students, and if we can do that by approving a charter that will help students recover from credit loss and help them to be successful, then we've done our job well and we've done it correctly. I had the pleasure of visiting this school because it's right down the street from East River, which is my high school. It actually sits in Member Lopez's district, but a lot of East River high school students do attend that school. So when I got a call and said, would you please come visit our schools? I said, yes, but I need to go to see this school because I pass by it every day, and I wanted to see what was inside. And I was impressed with the work that y'all do and how you help kids, because these are kids that are going there because they need to recover the credits, and they're doing great work. They really are. And it's tough because these kids are already kind of behind the 8 ball and trying to catch up, and they do a great job with trying to get them across the finish line. So thank you for that. And I will most definitely be supporting the renewal of this charter this evening.
Awesome. Member Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I also had the opportunity to visit the school, and I also was very, very amazed by the safety of the school. Number 2, I heard stories from students from different high schools from the district. And I also have, after that visit, I also have meetings with the administration. So I am also in favor of the renewal of Econ River Charter School. And I would love to make the motion if that is possible.
Please. Thank you.
So I would like to make a motion to for the renewal of the charter school of Econ River for 15 years.
Okay, motion by Member Lopez, seconded by Member Cobert. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with all members present voting in the affirmative. All right, Member Gallo, anything further on that? No, your button's just not letting up. No, it's okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Dr. Scott?
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Moody, thank you so much. All right, we have now on the agenda item 1711, and move from the consent agenda 603, request approval of expulsion of students in conjunction with the waivers of out-of-school student expulsion and district behavior contracts. Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are actually considering student with the initials JS removed from the matrix on 603 to 1711. Dr. Borda will walk you through the particulars.
All right, thank you. item that is not technically on the agenda, but I did want to share with the board, and hopefully you all have had a chance to read a letter that the superintendent and I would like the board's support in sending to our delegation, letting them know how we feel about the two different budgets. If there's any concern or comments or suggestions, this would be a great time to hear them. And if not, we don't need a motion, but I would like to know that there's no opposition from board members or concern from board members by submitting this letter.
You have my support, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
My support.
Okay, wonderful.
My support.
Wonderful. And we'd also, Dr. Jenkins, I think it would be helpful if we could get and share this as well with our, personally, with our teachers and with CTA, so that if they want to advocate, and OSPA, oh my gosh, of course, OSPA, and our frontline administrators, so that if they would also like to advocate, they'll have the advantage. I know you all get emails as well where sometimes our employees want to know what they should advocate for, and we try to write this in such a way as to give some direction as well for anyone else who wants to support the advocacy. If no further questions or comments on the letter, we'll move on to Dr. Jenkins, your report. No, go ahead.
I know that you refer to our lowest level employees and, kind of non-teaching staff. I just wonder if we should call out that a little bit more to, support and frontline. You use the word frontline, but do legislators know what that means? Frontline? Do they know it's the bus driver, the cafeteria worker, the custodian, the paraprofessional? Do they really understand it's the people who we could not operate a school without?
Well, that's why we talked about the educational support professionals, which is the term that we've been asked to use, and I think it is the right term, that drive our students to and from, that provide them with healthy meals, that clean and sanitize the classrooms, that support them in the learning environment. And we also wanted to include our school-based administrators, because they too have not had a raise.
That's true.
So really the only employees in Orange County Public Schools that have had a raise in the last 2 years, have a meaningful raise in the last 2 years, have been our starting or very entry-level teachers.
Correct. Okay. So yeah, I think that does cover it. I was just reading kind of the closing two paragraphs and wanted to make sure, because we pull out teachers in that.
And I also pull out the support professionals in our district to help ensure. So I did put those in the last two paragraphs as well.
I did miss that one.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and all while trying to keep it reasonably short. Yeah, reasonably short. That's good. Well, excuse me, where's Scott? Yeah. It's teamwork that makes the dream work, and it's a lot more Scott in this than there is in me. But thank you so much, Dr. Jenkins, for your personnel support, because this would also, for me to write a letter, it would be 3 pages long, and it would take 3 weeks, and I'd still be editing it. So, all right, with that, Dr. Jenkins, your report.
Briefly, Madam Chair, members of the board, only 2 items. First, in case you were wondering, or others might be wondering, OSPA did come to their agreement in their contract negotiations and should be preparing to go out to ballot for ratification. We did offer the same opportunity of having a placeholder for this board meeting. They opted not to do that. It was prior to their actual conclusion that this agenda had to be publicized, and we did not opt to try to bring it as an emergency item. They have time for their ratification vote, and then at the next meeting, we fully expect to have approval for the board, before the board, for the OSPA contract, including their compensation, and for our administrators, which I appreciate you mentioning they have gone without any increases as well. While they are minimal increases, based on the dollars that the board agreed to find in our current budget for recurring dollars, their bonuses are taking out of ESSER dollars, just as we have done for our teachers. And so that should be prepared to come before you at our next board meeting, March 8th. Secondly, on Friday, we will conclude our time period of mandatory face masks for adults. They will become optional once again. I want to thank the board for your support, and to all of our employees and volunteers and those who've been on our campuses for supporting our efforts to try to keep our schools as safe as possible within our own control. Friday will be the end of the mandatory face mask mandate. Madam Chair, that is my report.
At this point in time. The end at this point in time, I'm sure you mean, given the
So
fact
everyone's praying that there will be no new strain, no new, don't need to knock on wood, we just believe this is going to be a continuing trend. Certainly, we reserve the right, should something come up, there be some grave concerns for our community, we always reserve that right under the authority that the board has provided, but on Friday, it will go back to voluntary. And I think it's important too, Madam Chair, I'm glad you noted that. I think it's important to say that they become voluntary once again. We still believe if individuals are not vaccinated, it may be wise to still consider a face mask. And certainly, the health department used to say, I understand there may be different communication coming down from the CDC, but they used to say when you first return after a positive case of COVID-19, it's recommended that you wear a face mask for 5 days. All of that is just in flux. We await further direction, but it would still just be recommended, not mandatory. But I think it is wise. It can't hurt for those who are in those two categories to consider, at least seriously consider, use of face masks.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. I threw that in there only because in the event that we have some variant that we are not aware of and it turns out to be more serious, more deadly, or more resistant, and we are back here with a requirement for masks, I don't want anybody to say, well, we thought we understood, we were done with this. So
absolutely,
we are all going to just have to remain flexible.
Thank you, absolutely.
Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since we brought up masks, and I know that we've discussed this at the dais before, but we haven't actually planned it, but we really do need to review the mask, that EBBA policy. It needs to come back before the board. It needs to be tightened up. The language needs to be clear because it is causing confusion out in our community. So, and I know that there's a lot on our plate right now, but I just wanted to bring that back to your attention that we do need to bring that on the agenda. Thank you.
And I was actually, item 21, you jumped ahead on, but policy level items, but there you go, that's one. No, that's okay. That's, Ms. Envol, do you have a report for the board?
I have two things quickly. One, I remind that I need appointments to the VAB, both two citizen appointments. No, do we have? All right, just come to me individually so that way I can put it on the agenda, please. And then second, your attorneys from the Office of Legal Services are attending our Florida School Board Attorneys Association Friday and Saturday of this week, and 3 of us are presenting. So I'll send you that agenda so you can see what we're working on. So we are not going to be, we'll be available by phone, but not, and it's local here, so.
All righty, thank you. We have no committee reports. One last call for any policy level issues that board members would like to come before the board besides EBBA. Member Castellano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to talk about the teacher retention concern that we all have. And I know since I've been bringing it up at the board meetings and expressing what teachers are telling me, they continue to share with me. And I've been invited out to a number of schools to listen to their concerns, and I'm just going to mention, just gives voice to one of the issues that continues to come up, and that's walkthroughs. So I have reports from several teachers across grade levels and across schools and across learning communities that there continue to be administration and learning community folks and others, I don't know who the others are, but they continue to enter classrooms either unannounced or they don't identify themselves. or why they're there. And sometimes this happens to a teacher multiple times during a day. So it appears to be a systemic issue, not unique to a particular learning community. And I remember one of my favorite principals who worked us the hardest, Robbie McNabb. She showed us how much she valued our work with our students by making that time with our students sacred. No interruptions were allowed. There were no intercoms during the learning day that were allowed to be used, no telephones ringing. And that sent a very powerful message about what she valued and that she trusted us, the teachers, to make use of every minute we had with our students. It showed students that their time in school was important, and it was part of our culture. It was deeply embedded in our culture that that time with our students was to be uninterrupted. It's really hard as a teacher to maintain the students' attention and focus and the momentum of a lesson when there are continuing interruptions. It's my sincere hope that the process that we're going through about what we can do to make the teaching environment more pleasant and productive for our teachers and our students. I hope that this is one of the areas that we examine and take another look at and look at why we continue to do this to the point where teachers are, I don't know, if it's not helpful to teachers. I don't know who it's helping, but it's not helpful to teachers. I would recommend that if you all have invitations from teachers to come visit the schools, maybe after hours, and just sit and listen, you'll hear a lot of things that they recommend to really improve the situation. Again, I really feel like at the end of the school year, we're going to see an exodus of teachers. And in this environment, I think we have to look at all the areas that we may have used in the past to really make sure teachers are complying, but really look at every one of them and see what can we do to make teaching more enjoyable and purposeful and meaningful and productive. And that is one area that continues to be brought up to me by teachers. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Castellano. I'm sorry. I'm a little tired, guys. I apologize.
We're all tired.
I was looking for something that we wanted to schedule for the next agenda.
Yeah.
But that's something that I got from the union also and they sent to all of us the list of things. That was one of the items on there. Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you. So let me give a brief response and certainly appreciate Dr. Castrodental's concern. I think we have to ask ourselves a couple of questions. One, we have 14,000 teachers. We're gathering input from all of those teachers regarding what can we take off your plate, where can we save dollars for the budget, and what can we take off your plate to make your life easier. I have to tell you, when we talk about the good old days, and I've even said once myself that I remember a time when teachers were just left to, you teach, you assess, and then you reteach. But we can't go back to the good old days because there's a state accountability system that doesn't allow us. I worked for Robbie McNabb. I was her assistant principal, and we did classroom visits because it became a requirement and expectation. That's number one. Number two, if you want to go back to the days of old, our graduation rate was below 50%. We cannot turn back the time because the cost is too severe under this accountability system for our students and for our teachers. So teachers have their pay impacted and principals have their pay impacted based on student outcomes. I look for the day that won't be the case, but the reality is this is where we live. And my third graders, we're going to bring you the data next time. If we don't get some kind of reprieve, I'm concerned about third graders that we may be required to try to retain. We have to have some reprieve on the accountability system Because when you see the data, based on where we think our students are achieving at this point, we have got to have extreme intervention. And so a good practice to make sure all of your children are learning and that gaps are not underserving students who come from poverty and students of color. I'm going to show you the gaps as well. You'll see them next time. They are not pretty. That you have to have some means of oversight to try to make sure all students are being given a quality curriculum and quality instruction. And I do wish that that could just be on autopilot and everybody did their own thing and we didn't have to worry about the outcomes for our students. The next time we come together, we're going to share with you the data, not just from this year, but from last year as well. The gaps have been exacerbated. We have to have some means of consistency, especially when you talk about trying to serve those underserved populations and you look at the data. If it weren't for rules in place that hurt teacher raises, that hurt principal raises, and that keep third graders from being promoted or 12th graders from graduating based on 10th grade ELA tests, then you might be able to remove all of those constraints. I have an email for you as well that will show you all of the testing that has been removed. We were gathering that information from the last board meeting. I think we can have a debate back and forth. Unless there's a change and the penalties are removed, we have to give our children a chance to succeed. And we certainly have to make sure that principals appropriately supervise without being abusive in classroom visits, but appropriately supervise because their raises are in the balance as well. I know Dr. Castellanos and I debate this privately all the time. She knows if she brings it up at the table, we will always respond.
Let me bring us back to where we were. The question was, because I have now Member Felder, and I don't want to cut off Member Felder, and then I have Member Castellanos again. Question was, statement of policy level issues the board would like to agenda for subsequent meeting or work sessions. So, thank you, Member Gallo. That was an agenda item for us to take up at a future time. So we can schedule time so that we're not doing that after sitting here for nearly 4 hours. That we have a fresh start and everybody can come thinking, I'm ready to talk about that. I have a lot of ideas about this, but I didn't expect that we're going to debate that here tonight at the end of the night. I would like us to have that on the agenda for something that we talk about when we talk about what are the things we can take off of teachers' plates. I think it's absolutely something we should talk about. I have what I think is a middle ground approach. I'm not going to belabor the point and take up a lot of time on it because the hour is late, but I think it's a discussion we should have and we're going to agenda it. So we'll have it in March. But I definitely think it's something we all need to be discussing. Member Felder.
Yes. Thank you. Very quickly, I think I've talked about it once again, but just to reiterate, as we deal with policy, I am concerned about discipline as we can review, Amy, some of the policies that we have in terms of how we can help and assist our teachers and administration, because I believe that they're doing, what they can. So, and we have just not had time to do a lot of things because everything comes at us so fast, but we will have some sessions, I do believe, coming up that we can deal, because many of us, and probably in all of our districts, we have certain schools that, we're dealing with that in real time, in real time. So again, Chair, when we deal with policy, Amy, I want us to revisit some of those things. And lastly, for those who are still listening, we'll probably talk about it again, but we're preparing for a new superintendent, so I want the public to know that we invite your input, and they'll talk about that later at some of the other board meetings, and we want you to know that we want to be transparent. So anyway, I wanted to say that, so thank you.
Thank you. Member Castellanos.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And even though the superintendent and I may discuss this when it's just one-on-one, I know this isn't necessarily a policy level issue that I just want to bring up. I think that I'm not asking to go back to the days of yore. I am recognizing the threat of having our teachers leave. And how are we going to run our schools if we cannot fill them and we lose so much talent? And I think it's important that teachers who are listening understand that we hear them. They're not going to be around to listen to our work session. And you don't I guess I understand the power of letting someone know that they have been heard. And this is one way to do that. And I think that it's important that we recognize the crisis that is coming and we try to avert it. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. And I hear you about them not, us having a work session at a time that they may not be hearing. So I think whatever comes out of that work session as we talk about things that we can take off the plate, including a conversation about the walkthroughs and what benefit are they, how do they fit in, where are they needed, why are they needed, I think at the outcome of that, communicating that out to our teachers is going to be important that they hear that, because they won't have time to do that when they're in class. So, point taken. And we'll take it up at a work session in March. Good? Okay, good. Okay, super. All right, if there's no further business to come before the board, the meeting is now adjourned.